What's up, guys? PDC here for a SPL replay once again, Smogon Premier League. This time it is Week 4. Once again, ORAS overused. This is the Runers versus the Classiest. Chimpact got subbed out for Key because he couldn't make the time. So instead of playing Chimpact for the second time in a week, I am going to be playing Key. And as you'll see, I get pretty lucky in this game. But regardless, it was an uphill matchup for me. I really could not break his team at all without luck. So it was, I guess, kind of just fate that luck landed on my side. But I am going to apologize for that Key, as it was a shitty game, honestly, with the crits and stuff like that. I really did get lucky versus you, and I am sorry for that. But it is part of the game, and as much as I will bitch about it continuously to no end, I have to admit this was a game in which I did luck for the outcome. But we're going to go ahead and start the game. Key is using a stallish team, which was obviously kind of meant to beat me, considering the teams I use are Bulky, Sand, Extratrill, and all that type of stuff. Well, I'm using a Sand offense team with Calm Mind, Gardevoir. Kind of typical for my style, nothing really too big. I lead with my Gardevoir, expecting Sableye, although honestly that probably was a pretty stupid play, as I realized that he would have expected me to lead Gardevoir, expecting Sableye, so I should have just let something like a Powdon again that gets rocks up turn 1, which I do end up getting eventually, but it is not without the cost of him managing to bring a Sableye in and having rocks on my side of field. I really don't have a good switch into the Sableye here. I just go out to my Gardevoir because really my Gardevoir is the only switch in I have for this thing at this point. I could have went to Keldeo, but I guess Keldeo would have worked fine, quite honestly. Keldeo probably would have been, I guess, the better Pokemon to switch into here, now that I think about it, but I was expecting a Wisp, not a knockoff or something like that. I just go ahead and use Hyper Voice. At this point, my win condition is already pretty weakened, and I don't really have any way to break through this Bronzong either. I hit it with a Hyper Voice, and because I am modest, yes, CBB, I am modest Gardevoir, I hit him with a nice 30% from the Hyper Voice, but I realize it's not going to be nearly enough to manage to break through to it. I call back my Gardevoir here and go out to my Mad Villainy or my Ferrothorn. He go ahead and hits me with the Earthquake, and I really don't have a way to break through this guy's team. That's the thing. I really don't. I go ahead and I switch out to my Keldeo here, expecting a Sableye switch. But instead, he just goes ahead and goes for an Earthquake again. I actually did have knockoff on that Ferrothorn. I just figured he wouldn't stay in, predicting that, because I don't know how. I guess he also was predicting the Gardevoir double, since that definitely would have been a play that I would have been likely to make. But he goes out to his Tentacruel, which is a pretty easy Keldeo switch in. I do, however, realize that it is possible for me to manage to break through his team with this Calm Mind Keldeo, which actually is not sub-Calm Mind. This is a pretty interesting set, if I do say so the least. I'm not going to reveal anything, but it is Calm Mind 3 attacks. I do manage to get a little damage on that Tentacruel, which is very good for me. But sadly, this is the next turn. This is an instance of hacks, I guess, that he got a little lucky. I go for the +1 Hydro Pump on his Latias switch-in, which, in fact, misses, which really sucks for me, as you'll see that extra damage, although I don't exactly have the calc, definitely would have helped me out quite a bit. I go for the Hidden Power, which is actually, super effective against the Latias, and he goes ahead and Calm Minds up, revealing that he's not only slower than my Keldeo, but it reveals that he's very bulky. So this means that this is not a Life Orb Latias, this is a very bulky Latias with Calm Mind, Dragon Pulse, something like that. He is not Mega, however, because he lives in a Sableye, so I realize that this Latias is going to be easier to beat than its Mega counterpart. I go out to my Mad Villainy Ferrothorn here. Honestly, I probably should have expected the switch, since I kind of doubted he was sub-Calm Mind, or he'd expect a Gyro Ball or something like that. I go for the knockoff against this guy's Sableye, revealing that I do have my knockoff on my Ferrothorn. Like I said, I should have played this game a bit more aggressive than I actually did. I should have spread the damage out and took more advantage that I had with the Gardevoir, which could fire off powerful Hyper Voices. I go out to my Keldeo here, my Nasty Nas Keldeo, which, even though the name is awesome, it doesn't mean the Pokemon's going to be doing very good in the game. I really cannot touch Key's team at all at this point. I honestly have no way of breaking through to this guy at all. There is essentially nothing I can do to really beat him here, and that is incredibly troubling. I go for a +1 Calm Mind, but it's obvious Keldeo not going to be beating this Tentacruel in the end, especially considering now I'm burned. I go over to Hydro Pump. I thought that Hydro Pump might have done like 5% or so more to the Tentacruel, but it does not, in fact, not. And he's going to be able to heal up to about 40%, which is troubling a bit. And he managed to also get a layer of Toxic Spikes. That sucks. That really sucks. I know that now Gardevoir is going to be poisoned, which only puts more pressure on it. So that's not very good at all, having more pressure on the Gardevoir, which is essentially going to be my only chance to sweep at this point. I really have nothing else. I have to do this almost immediately. I go out to my Gardevoir which gets poisoned. I know that I can survive one hit from this Latias, and I kind of doubt it's Psyshock. So you just go for the Hyper Voice to weaken the Bronzong switches just a little more. But I do get lucky here and actually land a crit, which is quite a bit to his Bronzong. Now, this is where things get even harder. This is where it gets hard. My win condition Gardevoir is essentially dead. There's basically nothing I can do at this point except for Healing Wish and going to attempt to somehow salvage the win. Now, he goes into his Tentacruel, which receives a little extra leftovers recovery, which is good for him, as now this means Tentacruel is going to be able to tank a Hyper Voice or something like that, so he doesn't need to risk Bronzong getting any more damage after the Hyper Voice. And it's also going to aid him in wearing me down a little bit more. Now, I go for the Power Whip on the Sableye. Big surprise, I actually am lacking Gyro Ball, so this was actually either a speed tie or he was running a few extra speed EVs above 76. I do get the crit, I realized that he was also not Rax Defense. So I figured that, alright, if I get a little lucky here, I can actually kill this Sableye here. But that is not what manages to happen, as he does outspeed me or win the speed tie or whatever. And I realize at this point, I really only have one option, and that is somehow manage to beat this team and Healing Wish with Gardevoir. The only Pokemon at this point that can even hopefully salvage this win is Gardevoir, and I realize that I'm going to have to get a little lucky in order to do it. I Healing Wish up with my Latias. I don't have Defog or anything like that. Instead, this is a Roost Latias. If I had Defog, maybe the luck wouldn't have mattered as much. In fact, the luck probably wouldn't have mattered at all if I had Defog on this guy, but sadly, I don't. I go ahead and go for the Calm Mind on my Mr. Self-Destruct, my Gardevoir. This is the moment of truth. He goes for the Wish. What will happen? Will I be able to win this game? I figure at this point it's basically impossible, but I get lucky and I crit his Clefable. Now, the thing is, this Clefable is not actually unaware, and I'm pretty sure that mattered regardless, because as you can tell, Ben is actually, you can't tell, but Ben was actually kind of angry at me for the crit, which is understandable, but he brings out his Bronzong, which also gets killed by the Hyper Voice at +1. So now, I'm like, what? I can win this game? No way I can win this game. This is impossible. There's no way I can salvage this. But somehow, I managed to bring this game back, almost because I'm a bit lucky. I'm a lucky little fuck. That's what I am. I'm lucky, and I managed to crit his Clefable and basically screw him over, which I do apologize for. I am sorry I critted you multiple times. That did indeed change the outcome of the game rather dramatically. But he's going to go ahead and do Store Power, which does basically 0 damage to me. I realize that at this point, there is no way that his Gliscor is faster than me, and his Sableye is obviously going to die in one hit, so I just go ahead and go for the Hyper Voice, and basically finish off his entire team with one single strong move. I am very glad I decided to go with Gardevoir, as you can tell, it's a great breaker, even when it has quite a few counters on the other side of the team. And with that, the game pretty much ends, and Gardevoir manages to salvage the game from 6-6 to 4-0. It was quite an amazing comeback, even though it was aided by hacks quite heavily. So I must apologize that, yes, that was basically bullshit, and I am very sorry for that. Believe me when I say I am sorry when I hacked, as shit like this happens to me all the time. But that was the SPL Week 4 replay, me versus Key, Runers versus Classiest, ORAS Overused, and now we're going to be doing All-Star Week. I actually might have a chance to play in that. I don't know if I'll upload it or not, but since Mentmeat is getting subbed out, I believe I am next in line, so maybe you'll see me upload my All-Star Week games or something like that, although probably not. But as SPL takes a break for 1 week, we're going to be uploading a couple other things on my channel aside from SPL games, such as live laddering and stuff like that, Road to number 1. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the Gardevoir sweep, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, comment, and I'm out.